Welcome to the Diversity Connector podcast, where we explore the rich tapestry of human experiences. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the country on which we meet today. I would also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging, and together as we dive into conversations that bridge cultures, challenge stereotypes, and celebrate the unique perspectives each of us brings to the table. Each episode is a journey through stories and insights from a kaleidoscope of voices, each sharing their colorful narrative. Whether you're at home, on the go, or just anywhere in between, you're now part of a community that values understanding, inclusivity, and the beauty of diversity. So plug in your headphones, get comfortable, and let's connect through the power of our shared stories. Welcome, and thank you for joining us on the Diversity Connector podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Diversity Connector. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, how old you are, and share your story with us today.
Well, hi there. I'm Julie Gordon-White, founder and CEO of Menowell, Menopause, Energy and Protein Bars, an Oprah Daily Best Menopause product. We're based in Berkeley, California, and I'm 58 years old. So my story, I guess I'll just fast forward to where we are right now and work our way back. But with my story, it started during the beautiful experience, if you were healthy, and I want to make that caveat, during the pandemic. I was fortunate enough to be healthy, working from home, and started to feel restless and realized that looking back on my life, I had kind of had a 10-year cycle of things that I love to do as a career. And I was coming to a new cycle. And fortunately, I always say that doesn't apply to my husband of 32 years and my kids because I don't want to get rid of them. But in my personal career, I noticed that for 10 years, I had founded a mergers and acquisitions firm selling companies for other people. And then 10 years after that, I decided, what am I going to do next with all this information? And I had a silent retreat with myself because I needed to get quiet to know what was there for me. And I coach women entrepreneurs because that's what came to me. I highly recommend a silent retreat to teach women entrepreneurs everything I had learned about selling other people's businesses, growing my business to multi-millions. So I started the Well for Women Entrepreneurs to help women grow service businesses to $1 million or more that are sellable. Fast forward now, here we are in the pandemic, and I have a lot of time on my hands, and I'm an empty nester, which was a huge turning point in our lives when our third and youngest son, went off to college. There was a newfound freedom, and to be honest, I got to a place where as I was coaching women and caring for clients, that I wanted to feel free. I wanted to not have the weight of the daily care of someone else. My husband's a big guy, he can take care of himself. But I wanted to not have to focus on who needs what right now. And I knew it was time to start something new. So I gave my coaching clients a big hug, lots of love, lots of support, and sent them on their way and tried to figure out what's next for me. And during that time, I noticed at 55, I was gaining weight all around the middle, 10 pounds to be exact. And I'm only 5'1". There's really no place to go. But more importantly, I noticed that I wasn't feeling confident in myself. My energy was low. My sugar cravings were through the roof, especially during the pandemic. My 2 giant-sized sons had come home, and I'm cooking again for them. Remember I said I was not wanting to care. Well, what are you going to do? Cooking for them again, making cookies and brownies, and eating them because my hormones, estrogen going off a cliff, everything about my body was like, I'm hot, I'm uncomfortable, I want sugar. I want sweets. And I knew I had to do something because I wasn't feeling like myself. So I started figuring out, what can I eat? What's low sugar, but it's going to solve that sugar craving? What's going to keep me full? That's when I started formulating these delicious little things that I could go to when they were eating cookies and brownies and not feel like I didn't have something to eat that would still be satisfying. And I started making something for myself. But I also started researching menopause. What's happening in my body, and how is this food thing and this middle belly fat having an impact? And I found out that 90% of women in the stage of menopause actually gain 10 or more pounds. And there can be a natural approach. Some women are perfect for hormone replacement. For me, because of family history, my mom told me that that was not a choice. So, how do I calm my body down, calm my sugar cravings, and start to feel better and let some of that, as I like to say, release some of that weight that was really weighing me down in more ways than one? So, fast forward, I started creating these bars. I started trying ingredients like maca, which is a Peruvian root known to balance blood sugar and hormones over time. I knew I wanted to stay full, because when you eat something, you don't want to just eat something again in 5 more minutes. That's what happens with cookies and chips. So I knew I had to have a lot of fiber to keep me full. And then we have to have protein, especially in midlife, because that's how we have muscle, keep us strong. I like to say, taking menopause like a boss, and put all these things together, plus some organic cacao nibs and MCT oil for the brain, on, and came up with this formulation and started sharing it with my friends. And trust me, it didn't taste that good in the beginning, but hacking it together. And they said, wow, this is actually good, and you should share this with other women. So that's how I ended up starting an energy bar formulated specifically for women in the stages of menopause. So it's by us, for us. But I have to tell you, an interesting thing that has come about is that the bar has become a talking stick. It's like the small piece of something much, much bigger, because women, as historically, we don't want to talk about menopause. It's taboo. It's embarrassing. Doctors don't even know about menopause. But having this product has really created what I call this talking stick, so we can have a +1 conversation about menopause. Because as I've talked to now thousands of women about their experience, even though they don't really want to talk about it, or they didn't, even my girlfriends when I started the company, oh, we love the idea, we love the bar. Do you have to say menopause? Like, yes, that's why we have to do this. But our moms didn't talk to us about it. So who do we talk to about it? And this product has helped open the conversation. I have literally been places where women come to me in tears and say, thank you. Thank you for making it okay to talk about menopause. I mean, think about it. There's 75 million women in the stage of menopause. And so this has become so much of who I am. You notice I have silver hair. That also happened during the pandemic. And I feel so grateful that I was able to make that transition. Now, it's not for all women. This is a no judgment zone. That's a beautiful thing about midlife. No judgment. Do you, right? Over 50, we just do what we want. But for me, it was very, very freeing. And it also helps me signal women about the power of midlife, about owning who we are in our 50s, about feeling good, however you're showing up. And, being empowered, it's a big part of our message, because in midlife, we don't have to worry about what other people think about us anymore. We have more, money generally, we have more wisdom. And so if we trust ourselves, if we trust our body, and that's something that I love about menopause, it calls you back to your body, because you were hot, you were tired, gaining weight. And it's like, hello, you've been taking care of everybody else. It's time to take care of me. So I love that. We get called back to ourselves. And that's what happened for me in this menopause conversation. And it started with my youngest, going away to college and being an empty nest. But it gave me the space and quiet to come back to myself and really spend time. Who do I want to be in my 50s? What do I want to do next? Can I do it? Am I too tired? Am my brain too foggy? I had all those conversations with myself. But the truth is, I could tap into things that I had done on the way to this point. We can bring our collective wisdom of all of our experiences and our friends, and we have networks. And I decided I wasn't afraid to do something I had never done before. And by the way, I've never had a food company. I've always had business consulting services. So it was kind of scary, but I decided I could do this. It was important to me. And it was important, especially when I saw how other women reacted to the conversation around menopause. I love that. I love a challenge. And so I just want to share from my own perspective that we are never too old to start something that lights us up. We're never too tired because we can ask other people to help us. We don't have to worry about not having enough money because we know how to find resources. So we're never too anything to be who we want to be at any time. And I think especially over 50, because we know stuff, we really have that whole bank of experience, which makes us uniquely qualified to do so many things. So that's really who I am. I said I've got a family. They support me, and having a success team, which starts with people who love and care about you, cheering you on, I think is so important as our story unfolds in our 50s.
What an amazing story.
Oh,
How has your personal background and experiences influenced your journey in the corporate world and eventually to becoming an entrepreneur?
yeah. And I didn't say that. Actually, I did do a 5-year, 8-year, I forgot now, stint in corporate America after college. Would you say university? After college, um, in the hotel industry. And I learned a lot then about customer service and procedures. It was extremely valuable, but I've always been an entrepreneur. I was that little girl who I wrote a business plan when I was 10. I sold stuff door to door because it's really, I always think about, like, where did this come from? And it's my dad who told me, I remember I wanted this little yellow 10-speed bike. And my dad said, you can have that bike, but you have to pay for half of it because we know you'll take good care of it if you are invested in that bike. And I was like, really? I just want the bike. I'm a good girl. I have good grades. I'm like, yes, but you have to put out the work and you can get that. And that was so smart, right? Because of course I was washing that bike after I had worked so hard to get a little money here and there. And that just gave me the bug and the idea that I could make my own money. That's so cool. And it just permeated through my whole life. So I did that corporate stint, but then once I had my first kid, I wanted that freedom. And you work way harder as an entrepreneur, I believe, than in corporate, But I would say I work around the clock, but at least I own the clock. And that's what made it good for me.
That's a good quote. I'm going to use that one of these days.
Okay.
So, the entrepreneurial landscape has historically been challenging for women, especially Black women, and especially in certain sectors. How did you navigate these challenges? And what changes have you noticed over the years in terms of diversity and representation?
I would say the young entrepreneurial version of me was not very confident. In fact, I probably have a stack of business cards this thick of things I started, but then I would stop, mostly because I was not confident and I didn't really believe that they could be successful. And they probably, majority of them could have been very successful if I believed in myself, because I didn't have any entrepreneurs in my life. So I didn't have any close role models. So I really had to navigate on my own. But over time, I realized that, especially coaching women entrepreneurs, because you teach what you need to know, right? So I realized that superpowers are where women can thrive. And superpowers are not skills, right? You have knowledge and skills. Those are things that we're good at, things that we know. But superpowers are where your passion and your knowledge and skills intersect. And to me, once I figured that out, then that's when everything happened. I love business. I'm that kind of weird person that you won't ever see me reading a nonfiction book. Nonfiction, a fiction book, like what's the latest, hottest, novel? Yeah, no, I am like business book all day long. But that's what I love, So I love business. So when I actually leaned in to teaching business, my business was teaching business, then that's when things really started to flourish. Or when my business was selling businesses, because I got to study financial statements and tax returns and marketing. And that's when, so when I figured out that intersection between what I love to do and my skills and knowledge, that is when it all came. So that kind of takes a minute, that's what I would say. And it's okay, young women, if you don't know what you know exactly is your superpower yet, but you just start. You don't have enough data to figure things out just thinking about it, right? You just have to take action and then pivot here or there. And I think for women of color, all the more reason we need to know how to make our own money. I did a TEDx talk on about why women entrepreneurs should raise girl entrepreneurs. And it's the same thing, because women, especially women of color, you need to always know how to make $100,000. That's it. That's just like my thing. My daughter, you need to know how to make $100,000 at any time. That could be selling cupcakes. It does not matter. I would say from cupcakes to consulting, but you need to know how to make your own money. I've been blessed to be married to a wonderful partner man for 32 years. So I haven't had to not have, combined income. But there's a confidence and an empowerment that comes when you know how to exchange value for money. And that's how our society works. So money gives you choices, and choices give you freedom. That's why we need to know how. It doesn't matter who you are, but women of color, I know you have a skill. I know you have something that you can make your 100K with.
I love it. And now you're championing women's health. Menopause, like you said, is a universal experience for all women. We don't talk about it. We don't focus on ourselves, and it's been underserved and stigmatized. So how does Menowell contribute to breaking down cultural and societal barriers that are related to this pause of life?
Yeah, I like that. That's pause of life. Well, one, we call it out on our name. And to be honest, I don't know if you know this, I launched this company as Bossa Bars because I wasn't sure, because I want, the whole idea is women menopause like a boss, like we really own it powerfully.
Yeah.
And the attitude came across, the feeling, but women didn't know what bossa meant. Bossa, they weren't really sure. And to be honest, it was a reflection of my own mindset, because I was nervous when I launched. How were, people going to feel about menopause when my own best friends were like, don't say menopause.
Yeah.
And so, but as we went through our first year and a half, we realized our women, our customers, they love the bars, but they just weren't sure. And all they want to do is menopause well. And so that's why we made the big decision to rebrand the whole company, same bars, new packaging, new name. And honestly, it has just been tremendous, the response. So by calling out menopause and not hiding behind another word, that's very empowering. And our whole message, I have a community on Instagram called the Meno Lounge, where I interview women and doctors and experts and brands every single Tuesday. You'll have to come on. And we talk about all things menopause, because we've got to talk about it, and we have to talk about it publicly, and we have to own it. And by doing that, that helps women feel more comfortable in the conversation, because it's happening publicly all the time.
Yeah, we're all going through it. It doesn't matter.
It's a blessing. We hope we do, right? Because if not, the alternative is not good. And there's going to be over 1 billion women in a stage of menopause by 2025 worldwide. So come on. We rule the world. We're going to rule the world. Yeah.
So as Menowell gains traction, did you face any significant challenges or revelations regarding diversity in women's health and wellness industry?
Yeah. Unfortunately, Black women have a less positive experience during menopause. Just healthcare alone, Black women are disproportionately not served, and also misdiagnosed. And same thing applies in menopause. So we have a statistically more difficult experience and are not getting the health care that we need. It's very, very unfortunate. And, because we're a premium product, we are, on the premium price, but over time, as we grow, we'll be able to have a more accessible price point. But to be honest, I really encourage women, even at all economic levels. Doesn't matter if you're buying Menowell or you're just buying vegetables. Invest in your own health through nutrition. Start there. Skip the shirt coming from Amazon or whatever the Amazon package is. And I'm not against Amazon. I love Amazon, but make a trade-off. Always choose your own body first. Always choose your own nutrition, because we spend so much money putting stuff, anti-wrinkle, this serum, this hair thing. I'm just as guilty of all the things, but we don't start from the inside out. And we can't optimize all the external things that we're buying and putting on if we are not eating better. So invest in yourself, eat good food, and then it just pays dividends in terms of your health.
And your health is your wealth. Unless you're healthy, you really can't do anything to increase your wealth.
Nothing. It's the most important thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your venture, the Well for Women Enterprises, trains women to grow their businesses. Can you share any inspiring success stories from women from diverse backgrounds?
Yes. Well, so I don't have that business anymore. But I do get asked to coach every now and then. I think once a coach, you're always a coach. Even I have to say, okay, do you want me with my coaching hat on right now? But yes, we've had several consulting companies that were multi-million-dollar companies. Some that have sold, just a few that sold. Most women like to hang on to their companies, but I come from the philosophy that everyone will exit their company one way or another. You're either going to sell it, close it, whatever, right? You're going to leave your company at some point. So why not build your company now as if you're definitely going to sell it? Create systems, processes, document things, have a small but mighty team, and you're going to love your business so much more. Because when we grow businesses and we think, oh, no one's ever going to see my bookkeeping, no one's ever going to look at, I don't have to explain anything. We just kind of create a mess for ourselves, right? We just have sort of a spider web of a business versus a file cabinet of a business that's orderly. And it just makes, one, you can grow faster. Two, you can teach other people how to do what you do. Three, it makes it scalable. And four, that's where your freedom is, because our businesses can just run our whole lives. And when you've got an orderly business that's documented with a process that's scalable and teachable, now you can go on vacation for 2 weeks or a week or holiday and not have your business follow you everywhere you go. Really important.
It's working on your business and not in it, right?
Yeah. And there's a balance, especially for a small business. But part of working in your business is to create systems. That's really important. Yeah.
That's crucial. So you got the Oprah Daily recognition. So being a best menopause product by Oprah Daily is a huge accolade. Can you share with us how that recognition impacted Menowell and your broader vision?
Yes. Well, I feel so fortunate. We were discovered by an Oprah Daily reporter at a natural food show. And quite frankly, we didn't even know we got it at first. And we noticed that we were getting orders from Oprah Daily. Like, where did that come from? And then we searched and boom, there it was. So it was kind of a surprise. But I have to say, I talked about confidence earlier. And when you get that kind of recognition on the hard days, and there are hard days, that's the kind of thing that keeps you going, that this is so important, that Oprah Daily felt that they needed to recognize what we were doing and the impact that we're making. So it's a nice thing. It's kind of like having a best-selling book. Once you're a best-selling author, you're a bestseller forever. And so to have that Oprah Daily recognition, we're always going to be an Oprah Daily Best Menopause product. So it's really great for investors, fundraisers. Everybody's excited about it. So I feel very, very, very grateful that we were recognized very early on and can continue on that. So that's our best-selling flavor too, the double chocolate brownie.
Oh, I love it. So in terms of inclusive marketing, do you ensure that your marketing and branding is inclusive and is reaching women from all walks of life and from different cultural backgrounds?
Yes, I'm so glad you asked that. because that was one of the things that really excited me about having a menopause brand. When I
Mm.
searched, so when I first started the company, I went to the stock photos to see, like what's there if I want to have a website. And every image was like a tired woman looking like this, Gertrude, like, her head was down. She just
Yeah.
looked like she was, at the end of her rope. Everything was horrible, dreadful, tired, exhausted, dried up. I'm like, oh, absolutely not. I know plenty of women in their 50s who are out there cycling, skiing, swimming ultra distances, doing all the things. And so it's so important to us. We don't use stock photography. We use user generated content. So when our women, eat at a bar and they take a photo and they send it to me, hey, I love this new peanut butter chocolate. We use those because I want to show all kinds of women with all kinds of bodies, with all kinds of interests, enjoying their 50s. And so that's such a great question. Yes, it's my favorite thing.
I love it. So success means many things to many people,
Yeah.
and different cultures, different backgrounds is different. How do you define success for both yourself and for the women that you use to coach and mentor?
Yeah. Well, first, success starts with impact, because impact means you're making a difference and you're adding value. And if you make a difference by adding value to a customer, then your business will grow. It's just that simple. If you just focus on money or the numbers, and let's be real, business is business. Business is about money. Business is about numbers. And there's no shame in that. And it's really important message that women understand. It is okay to talk about money. It is okay to want to have a big business. We're going to grow this to be very, very large because of the value and impact. When you lead with value and impact, that's how you can stand solidly in, we want to grow $100 million business. And there's no shame in that, because why else do we want to have a business to make life better for other people? And so if you want to make life better, first of all, you have to decide what is success for you, because what is success for me is different, or what it was 10 years ago is different than what it is today. Before, I just wanted to make sure I had enough money in our college account to send all our kids to college without having to worry about it. And now it's different because I'm in midlife, because my husband is actually retired. The financial aspect is more about how big of an impact can we make. We're going to grow this business very, very large because we're
Yeah.
making a very, very big impact. So it changes. And so again, going back to that 100K, I think 100K is a good minimum base, because life is expensive. I don't care where you live. I don't know, maybe it's not expensive in Australia, but I think it is. Right. So
Okay.
so that's a good base. But after that, you decide, right? It's your rules. You're an entrepreneur, but don't be afraid to think big.
I love that. So, because menopause is a global experience, what perceptions and treatments can vary widely, across different cultures? Are there any plans to expand Menowell or its community to address the diverse needs of women globally?
So as much as I would love to, there's still so much we need to do in North America, in the US. So we're going to play in this sandbox for a good little while and
Mm.
probably make our way into the UK next, in Canada, because the UK, I don't know if you know this, but the UK is so far ahead of us in the menopause conversation as compared to the US. They're working on legislation so women can take time off during menopause, and we're barely wanting even to talk about it. So the US has a long, long way to go, and then we will make our way outward from there, because manufacturing in multiple countries is a big deal. Or shipping also is a big deal.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that is wonderful. So now let me take you back. We're going to have a little thought experiment.
Okay.
I'm going to teleport you back to the younger you,
Mm.
that young woman who was driven, ambitious, wanting to go into business. If you could go back and give her three nuggets of wisdom based on what you've learned up until this point,
Mm-hmm.
say to her in case there's a young woman who's listening to this podcast, is not sure whether to get into business or not? What are your 3 nuggets of wisdom?
Yeah. First, if you get the whisper to do something, to start a business, to go down a path in a career, take action, follow it, because it's for you. I call that your internal GPS, because you thought of it. And if it wasn't for you, you wouldn't have thought of it. Think about other people who are off on a different path or start a different business, is because that idea came to them and that was for them. So if you get that little whisper, that little something here, it's for you, and follow the path. Second, trust yourself. So once you step out on that path, it's going to get wobbly. It's going to get scary. You're going to get to a fork in the road where maybe you need to turn left or you need to turn right. So try not to stand there in paralysis. Take action. And even if it isn't exactly where you think you can go, at least you have data, you have information to make the next best decision. And that's what we all do. And then third, as I think I've said before, start where you are, but don't be afraid at all to think big, big, and bigger. That's what I would tell myself.
I love that. Now let's go into the future. I'm going to teleport you into the future.
Okay.
You're now 90 years old.
90.
You are sitting in your rocking chair, surrounded by your children, your husband, your dogs, your cats, whoever is there with you at that time. If you could teleport into the future and have a conversation with this wise woman who's led you to that point, what would you say to her based on how you're living your life right now?
I would tell my 90-year-old self, or my 9-year-old self would tell me, just trust the process. That you can trust yourself. You can trust your intuition. You can trust what unfolds. So just trust yourself. It'll all be okay.
I love that. I love asking that question because a lot of women don't realize that the wise woman is already in you.
Yes. That's so beautiful. Do you know no one has ever asked me that? I get a lot of the question about what do you know your younger self, but no one has asked that. That is a beautiful, beautiful question, especially of a midlife woman. So I might need to borrow that. I'm just going to say.
It's
so
a good one. I will be really privileged if you borrow it because I play with the essence of who I am becoming. I do my meditation and prayers every morning. And if I'm stuck with something, I ask her, what is the next step? And I sleep that. And then I wake up in the morning and these light bulb moments show up. And now I've got the answer. Or I talk to somebody else about it. And it's like a rabbit trail. And somebody says this and somebody says that. And by the end of the week, I've got the solution. So you were so right in trusting ourselves, right? We get that everything you need is already in you.
It's already there. But I love that you said, I ask her. That is so
have conversations
beautiful.
With that wise woman because I know where I want to go. I've already seen the future and she's leading me there. All the little promptings you were talking about, the whispers, that's her talking to you. So we have to trust that part of ourselves as well.
Beautiful.
It's been so much fun interviewing you today. Thank you so much for your energy, your spirit. You're being an example of what is possible for most women of color. Truly, truly inspirational. Thank you for showing up.
Thank you so much. This is beautiful. Thanks for reaching out to me and doing what you do because I know you've touched women's lives through telling their stories. So thank you so much.
It's an absolute pleasure. And thank you to everybody who tuned in today. I told you the Diversity Connector is going to bring you a wide range of talent, of people from diverse backgrounds, sharing their stories, showing us the way. So tune in again tomorrow when I interview yet another amazing person. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And bye for now. Thanks again, Julie.
Bye-bye.
So wrap everybody on today's episode of the Diversity Connector podcast. Thank you for tuning in. and being part of our vibrant and global conversation. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a tapestry of diverse perspectives. Remember, every story you've heard today is a thread in the larger fabric of our shared humanity. So, as you step back into your world, carry these stories with you and let them inspire you to embrace and celebrate the rich diversity around us. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these inspiring stories with more listeners. Do follow us on social media by looking for the Diversity Connector podcast for more updates. Until then, keep connecting, keep listening, and keep celebrating the beauty of diversity. This is the Diversity Connector podcast signing off. Stay curious, stay open,